So this is the reason you don't use Permatex on any oil sealing surface or really at all on a motor, because there's not really a reason to unless there's no gasket. And then even then it'd be best just to use the factory recommended sealant. This is the oil screen out of a 350 Foreman motor, and that was all on the bottom of this. Just think of that going through all the little oil passages, getting into bearings, anything else. Then, I don't even think you can see it, but there's a lot more of that in there. I pulled out probably twice as much as this from the bottom of the cases. The oil filter was absolutely covered in it. And then on top of all that, the man that had this, when it was actually kind of running apparently, was a complete genius apparently. Because he loved to use an impact, I guess, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 broken bolts off in the valve cover, and then there's 3 or 4 in this. There's one there, I think there's one there, I think there's one there too, maybe even one there. Then on top of all that, the guy couldn't even use the oil line bolts, such as, let's see what's a good example of one. Such as like this. I'm not even sure what he did, but he lost most of them. So he put regular bolts in with washers, and apparently it worked, but it's not what's supposed to be done at all. Also, the genius decided to use gray Permatex, so much of it all over the top of this that you can see the where the oil was sealed or was trapped in it. This whole line all around here was just covered in gray Permatex, and it was all the way out to here, all the way around until I scraped it off. It's same with the clutch cover too, and there's still a lot on it. And he couldn't even use the little camshaft lobe cover that goes over the end. I'm not even sure what this is, but looks like a freeze plug to me, over the end of the camshaft. And I guess it worked, because camshaft was okay. But then he must have used his impact or something on the camshaft gear, because the camshaft itself is perfectly fine, but the bolts that go in it, I doubt you can see it, they are completely stripped of threads where they would need to tighten up all the way. I'm not even sure how that came out without having to grind on it and try to cut it out, but it did. Then he couldn't, the timing chain was extremely loose. I have the stock one right here. It's probably even the original one from 1986, and it's so worn that it's probably at least a 1/4 inch longer than a stock brand new one. I might look later, but it apparently has jumped time and bent the valves at least once before, because these valves do not look, and neither does the head, look as terrible as what you would think it would after nearly 30 years. But he went to the trouble to get a brand new piston, brand new OEM standard piston. Couldn't even get a different timing chain, so he brazed on the end of the tensioner about a 1/4 inch. Didn't even do that good of a job, and it still jumped time and bent the valves, chipped the pieces of the piston off, and hit the head there and there. I'm not even sure what that used to be. So yeah. Oh, and the best thing of all, he did use a brand new chromatic gasket on the bottom end. There's nothing special about that. But when I took the head off, I was greeted with a sight that looked like that. He apparently took it apart again and tried to make it miss the valves even though they were bent, wouldn't seal, probably wouldn't even run. Tried to make it miss the valves by stacking 2 head gaskets, not 2 base gaskets, but 2 head gaskets. The old original one and the brand new Chromatic aftermarket one. I've never even seen such stupidity from taking apart a motor. I've seen a lot of stupid crap from people in tractors and cars, but I've never seen anything this stupid before.